بسبب تدمير العراق وغزو العراق وقتل مليون عراقي. تجي قوة أجنبية تحتل دولة عربية وتشنق رئيسها وإحنا نتفرج عليهم ونضحكوا. قيادة عربية بالكامل تقتل تشنق في المشانق وإحنا نتفرج. لماذا؟ ما ممكن الدور جاي عليكم كلكم. ليش أمريكا قاتلت مع صدام حسين ضد الخميني؟ كان صديقها. تشيني كان صديق لصدام حسين. رامز سلي كان وزير دفاع الأمريكا لما كان يدمروا في العراق، صديق حميم لصدام حسين، وأخيرا باعوه وشنقوه. حتى أنتم أصدقاء أمريكا، نحن أصدقاء أمريكا، بلاش نقول أنتم، نحن أصدقاء أمريكا كلنا قد توافق أمريكا على شنقنا في يوم ما.
We must not tolerate this regime using military force against its own people.
Well, in 2008, you were welcomed in London. Tony Blair embraced your father. You received your PhD from London School of Economics. And now, just 3 years on, you're a media villain targeted by NATO missiles in your own country, split by civil war. Why do you think has your fate turned so violently?
It's a good lesson for everybody, for us and for others. This is your mistake, Libyans. You give up your weapons of mass destruction. You stopped developing long-range missiles. You became very friendly with the West, and this is the result. One of our big mistakes that we stopped, we delayed buying new weapons, especially from Russia. It was a big mistake, by the way. We delayed that, and we delayed building a strong army because we thought that we will not fight again. The Americans, the Europeans are our friends. We will not fight again.
Most recently, there was, of course, the claims in the international media that somehow the civilian deaths, the massacre that took place in Zlitan wasn't quite on the scale that the Libyan people and government was claiming. I went to Zlitan myself. I went to the burial. I saw the evidence of the massacre of children and other civilians. So it's quite understandable that a few journalists here may be receiving the pleas of the Libyan government to just do their job, essentially, and report what is happening on the ground here, because thus far they have proven incapable of doing so, and they are largely responsible for the crisis in this country.
Well, my evidence is that the claim that was made by the Obama administration that there was going to be a bloodbath, that there was going to be even genocidal violence, that Gaddafi was deliberately, intentionally massacring civilians. My evidence is that there is no evidence of that in the other cities that Gaddafi has captured, either totally or partially. And the latest data comes actually from Human Rights Watch. And what they found is that the victims in Misrata, which is the third biggest city in Libya, only 3% of the wounded are women. And what that tells you is that the violence by Gaddafi's forces is not indiscriminate. It's actually quite targeted. It's targeted at fighters because the fighters are male. If Gaddafi were trying to massacre civilians, there would be thousands killed, not a couple hundred killed in Misrata. And if he were indiscriminately targeting civilians, then about half the victims would be women, not 3%.
The coalition said destroying Gaddafi was not their goal. Then why bomb his palaces? Now some officials have claimed that eliminating him was in fact their goal. Who gave them that right? Did he have a fair trial? Returning to the no-fly zone, the bombings are destroying the country's entire infrastructure. When the so-called civilized world uses all its military power against a small country destroying what's been created by generations, I don't know if that's good.
But some are convinced intervention in Libya is all about currency, specifically Gaddafi's plan to introduce the gold dinar, a single African currency made from gold, a true sharing of the wealth.
It's one of these things that you have to plan almost in secret.
Gaddafi didn't give up. In the months leading up to the military intervention, he called on African and Muslim nations to join together to create this new currency that would rival the dollar and euro. They would sell oil and other resources around the world only for gold dinars. It's an idea that would shift the economic balance of the world. Countries' wealth would depend on how much gold they have, not how many dollars they trade. And Libya has 144 tons of gold. The UK has double that, but 10 times the population. It's happened before. In 2000, Saddam Hussein announced Iraqi oil would be traded in euros, not dollars. Sanctions and an invasion followed. Some say because the Americans were desperate to prevent OPEC from transferring oil trading in all its member countries to the euro.
To be here in free Benghazi and in free Libya. Your city was an inspiration to the world as you threw off a dictator and chose freedom.
The whole world saw him being killed, all bloodied. Is that democracy? And who did it? Drones, including American ones, delivered a strike on his motorcade. Then commandos, who were not supposed to be there, brought in so-called opposition and militants, and killed him without trial. I'm not saying that Gaddafi didn't have to quit, but that should have been left up to the people of Libya to decide, through the democratic process. It's a long and difficult way, but it's the only way to do it right.
طبعا يعني اوباما حاجه استثنائيه في ذلك الشك، لكن امريكا هي امريكا، يعني اوباما يعني حده الاقصى 8 سنوات.
But do you think he should stay forever?
يا ريت
But that's just language, really. Like, if I sort of beating up someone with a variety of weaponry and they're jabbing me with a pin, it's like, ah, the pin technique, you're an animal!